Dad's silent revenge.
At 68 years old, I thought I'd seen everything. 43 years of marriage, 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and a decent retirement from my engineering career. Then Linda walked into our kitchen that Tuesday morning and dropped a bomb that changed everything. "Ted, we need to talk," she said, not even looking up from her phone. "I want a divorce." Just like that. No warning, no discussion. After 43 years, I'm Theodore Coleman, but everyone calls me Ted. And this is the story of how my wife tried to steal everything I'd worked for, and how I made sure she got exactly what she deserved. The first signs started about 8 months earlier. Linda had been acting different, staying out late for client meetings, buying new clothes, wearing perfume to show houses. She's a real estate agent, so I figured business was picking up. Good for her, I thought. We could use the extra income in retirement. But then I noticed the cologne. Linda came home one evening in late February, smelling like men's cologne. When I asked about it, she got defensive real quick. "It's just from showing the Peterson house. The owner wears too much cologne." Fair enough, I thought, but it kept happening, different scents each time. Then came the mysterious phone calls. She'd step outside to take them or go to the garage. "Work calls," she'd say when I asked. But when I glanced at her phone once, I saw texts coming in at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night. What, real estate client texts at 11 p.m. on Saturday? The money thing really caught my attention. See, after 40 years in engineering, you learn to pay attention to details. Numbers don't lie and patterns tell stories. I'd been managing our finances since I retired 3 years ago, and I started noticing discrepancies. Money moving between accounts, new credit cards I didn't know about, cash withdrawals from our joint savings account. When I asked Linda about it, she got that tone. You know, the one married guys recognize? Condescending. Like I was some old fool who couldn't understand basic finances. "Ted, you don't understand how business works. I need to stage houses, take clients to lunch, buy marketing materials. It's all legitimate business expenses. But I've been around long enough to know when someone's blowing smoke up my rear end. So I started paying closer attention, the way I used to track project budgets on construction sites. The real wake-up call came on a Thursday afternoon in March. I was driving past the Riverside Luxury Condos project. It's a development my old construction company had worked on, and I knew the site supervisor, Scott Anderson. I pulled in to say hello and maybe grab a cup of coffee from their office. That's when I saw Linda's BMW parked next to a silver Mercedes in the sales office lot. Through the big glass windows, I could see her with some guy in an expensive suit. They weren't looking at blueprints or floor plans. They were standing pretty close, and it definitely wasn't a business meeting. I sat in my pickup truck for 20 minutes, watching. When they finally came out, he walked her to her car. Then he kissed her, not a friendly peck on the cheek, a real kiss, the kind married people give each other. My wife of 43 years was kissing another man in broad daylight. I followed the Mercedes from a distance. The license plate read Wilth 1- real subtle. He drove to a fancy investment office downtown, through my phone. I looked up the address. Walsh Financial Services, Trevor Walsh, Senior Investment Advisor. I didn't confront Linda that night. Maybe I should have, but something told me to wait. After 4 decades of solving engineering problems, I've learned that rushing into things without proper planning usually makes everything worse. Good thing I listened to that instinct, because the next morning she hit me with the divorce demand. "I've already talked to a lawyer," she said, sliding papers across our kitchen table like she was serving breakfast. "I want to make this easy. You can keep your tools and personal stuff. I'll take the house, the BMW, and we'll split the retirement accounts 50-50. Split the retirement accounts. The house I'd put 30 years of sweat equity into, designing the addition myself, doing most of the electrical work. The BMW I'd been making payments on for the last 3 years. What about the pickup truck?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "You can keep that old thing," she said with a dismissive wave, like she was talking about a broken lawnmower. That's when it really hit me. Linda thought I was just some dumb construction guy who'd roll over and take whatever scraps she threw my way. She'd forgotten that engineers don't just build things. We solve problems, we analyze, we plan, we execute. And right then, looking at her smug face across the table where we'd eaten dinner together for over 4 decades, I realized I had a very big problem to solve. I told her I needed time to think about the papers. She said fine, but don't take too long, because she had things to do, places to go, apparently, or people to see. That evening, I called my daughter Nicole. She lives about 20 minutes away with her husband and 2 kids, works in HR for a big insurance company. Smart kid, always was. Gets that from her old man, I like to think. "Dad, what's wrong?" she asked before I even said hello. I could hear the concern in her voice. "Your mom wants a divorce," I said. Silence then. "What? Why?" "She's having an affair," I said. With some financial advisor guy named Trevor Walsh. Oh my God, Dad. I'm so sorry. What are you going to do? I'm going to fight back, I said. But Nicole, I need you to do something for me. Don't tell your mother we talked. And I need the name of a good lawyer. Not just any lawyer, someone who specializes in asset protection for retires. She gave me 3 names. I wrote them down on the back of an envelope, the same way I used to write down measurements on job sites. The first call I made was to Rachel Thompson. Her office was downtown, nice but not flashy. She was maybe 45, sharp business suit, even sharper eyes. When I told her everything, the affair, the financial irregularities, Linda's divorce demands, she leaned back in her chair and smiled. Mr. Coleman, she said, before we go any further, I need to ask, do you want to try to save your marriage, or do you want to protect your assets? At this point, I said, I want to protect what I've worked 40 years to build. Good, because I think your wife is hiding money, and if that's the case, we can make this very expensive for her. Rachel referred me to Ryan Mitchell, a forensic accountant who looked like he spent his days buried in spreadsheets, which as it turns out, he did. Guy had the personality of a calculator, but he was sharp as a brand new drill bit. I gave him everything I had, bank statements going back 2 years, credit card records, the works. Mr. Coleman, he said, adjusting his glasses, I'll need about a week to run through all this. But from what I'm seeing in the preliminary review, there are definitely some red flags. Meanwhile, I played the defeated husband at home. Let Linda think I was just the old guy too tired and confused to fight back. She started getting bolder, bringing Trevor around for what she called business meetings. He'd show up at our house, my house, sitting on my couch, drinking my coffee, explaining real estate investment strategies. The guy was smooth. I'll give him that. Expensive suit, perfect hair, that confidence that comes from never having to actually build anything with your hands. One evening, he had the nerve to explain to me why I should just accept Linda's divorce terms. Ted, he said in that condescending tone guys like him use when they think they're talking to someone beneath them, fighting this will only cost you money you don't have. Linda's being very reasonable here. You should take the deal and move on with your life. I nodded like the confused old man he thought I was. Yeah, maybe you're right. It's all pretty complicated for someone like me. Trevor smiled that shark smile. He thought he'd won. What he didn't know was that he'd been recording our conversations. Not illegal in Ohio as long as one party consents. And I was definitely consenting. 2 weeks later, Ryan called. Ted, you need to come to my office. We found something big. What they'd found was a systematic pattern of financial fraud going back almost 2 years. Linda had been moving money from our joint accounts into a separate account Shed opened at a different bank. She had also been inflating her business expenses and hiding cash payments from real estate commissions. She's moved about $100 over the past 18 months, Ryan said, spreading documents across his desk like he was dealing cards. And here's the interesting part. A lot of this money went to investment accounts managed by Trevor Walsh's firm. So they've been planning this for a while, I said. Looks like it, but Ted, we can prove all of this. If we file the right paperwork, we can freeze those accounts and force them to prove where every dollar came from. That's exactly what we did. Rachel filed an emergency motion to freeze all joint assets and prevent any further transfers. She also subpoenaed records from Trevor's investment firm. The look on Linda's face when the sheriff served her with papers was worth every penny I was paying Rachel. She came storming into the garage where I was working on my truck, waving the legal documents like they were on fire. What the hell is this, Ted? She screamed. I got myself a lawyer, I said calmly, not even looking up from the engine I was working on. Figured I should understand what I'm signing before I sign it. You froze our accounts. I can't access any of our money. Our money, I said, finally looking at her. That's right, community property state, remember? Everything earned during our marriage belongs to both of us, including that $1,025,000 you've been hiding with your boyfriend. Her face went white as primer paint. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. Ryan Mitchell does forensic accounting. Nice guy, very thorough. He found all your little secret accounts, Linda. Every transfer, every hidden commission, every dollar you and Trevor thought you could steal from me. That's when she tried a different approach. The tears started flowing along with apologies and promises. Ted, we can work this out. It was a mistake, a midlife crisis thing. We don't have to destroy everything we've built together, but I was done. 43 years of putting her first, supporting her real estate career, building the house she wanted, being the steady provider while she chased her dreams. She'd thrown it all away for some smooth-talking financial guy. The court hearing was set for 8 weeks later. During that time, Linda and Trevor tried everything they could think of to make me back down. Their lawyers sent threatening letters that basically said I was a bitter old man trying to destroy an innocent woman's life. They offered me a better deal. I could keep the house if I signed away all rights to my pension and 401k. Trevor even tried to meet me for coffee to work things out man to man. I told him exactly where he could stick his coffee in his deal. What they didn't know was that Ryan had found even more dirt. Turns out Trevor had been running the same scam on other couples. He'd target married women with assets, convince them their husbands didn't appreciate them, then help them hide money while collecting management fees on both ends. We found 3 other cases, Ryan told me during one of our meetings. 2 in Cincinnati, 1 in Columbus. Same pattern every time. Affair, hidden assets, divorce filing, then Trevor disappears when things get hot. Rachel was building our case like I used to build foundations, solid, methodical, designed to last. She found a private investigator named Kyle Morrison who'd caught Trevor pulling this scam on his own ex-wife 2 years earlier. This guy's a predator, Kyle told us. He specifically targets real estate agents and insurance saleswomen because they handle cash transactions and know how to move money around. My ex-wife lost everything because of him. The day of the hearing, I wore my best suit, the navy blue one I'd worn to my retirement party. 3 years earlier, Linda showed up with Trevor and 2 expensive lawyers who looked like they charged more per hour than I used to make in a week. Judge Patricia Santos was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who'd been handling family law cases for 20 years. She'd seen every trick in the book. Rachel started by laying out our case methodically: bank records showing the systematic transfer of funds, credit card statements for expensive dinners and hotel rooms, phone records showing hundreds of calls between Linda and Trevor going back 22 months. Your Honor, Rachel said, this isn't just a case of marital infidelity. This is systematic fraud designed to deprive Mr. Coleman of assets. He earned over 43 years of marriage. Linda's lawyer, a slick guy named Bradley Wilson, tried to paint me as the villain. Your Honor, Mr. Coleman is simply a bitter spouse trying to punish our client for ending an unhappy marriage. These financial transactions are all legitimate business expenses. Judge Santos looked at him over her reading glasses. Counselor, are you saying that moving $5,000 from joint marital accounts without your spouse's knowledge constitutes legitimate business expenses? Well, Your Honor, real estate is a complex business. I'll take that as a no. Let's see the evidence. Ryan Mitchell took the stand and methodically destroyed any credibility Linda might have had left. He showed how money had been moved in small amounts to avoid detection, how Trevor's firm had charged excessive management fees on Linda's hidden accounts, how expense reports had been inflated to justify cash withdrawals. In my professional opinion, Ryan testified, this represents a deliberate attempt to conceal and divert marital assets over an extended period. Then I took the stand. Rachel had coached me to stick to the facts, keep my emotions in check, and let the evidence speak for itself. Mr. Coleman, she asked, in your 43 years of marriage, did you ever discuss with your wife the possibility of moving large sums of money without telling you? Never? We always discussed major financial decisions together. That was our agreement from day one. And in your engineering career, how did you approach problem solving? Methodically. Gather all the data, analyze the patterns, identify the root cause, then develop a solution. Is that how you approach this situation? Yes, ma'am. When I noticed the discrepancies, I gathered documentation, hired professionals to analyze the data, and followed the evidence wherever it led. Linda's lawyer tried to make me look like a controlling husband, but it backfired. Every time he asked about our financial arrangements, I could point to 43 years of joint decision-making and shared responsibility. Then Rachel called her surprise witness, Kyle Morrison. Mr. Morrison, can you tell the court about your experience with Trevor Walsh? Kyle told his story, how Trevor had seduced his wife, convinced her to hide assets, then disappeared when the divorce got messy. Mr. Walsh has a pattern, Your Honor. He targets married women with assets, helps them hide money from their husbands, then takes a cut of everything. When I caught my ex-wife doing this, Trevor vanished, left her holding the bag. Linda's face went chalk white. Trevor wasn't even in the courtroom anymore. Head hired his own lawyer when the judge ordered him to appear and explain his role in all this. When it was Linda's turn to testify, she fell apart completely. She tried to claim she was just protecting assets from Ted's potential gambling problem. Mrs. Coleman, Judge Santos said, "Do you have any evidence that your husband has a gambling problem?" "Well, no, but any evidence of substance abuse?" "No, but any evidence of financial irresponsibility during your 43-year marriage?" Silence. "Mrs. Coleman, you've admitted under oath to concealing marital assets, conducting an extramarital affair, and attempting to defraud your husband of his rightful share of community property. Do you have anything else to add?" Linda just sat there crying. Judge Santos didn't deliberate long. When she came back, her expression was stone cold. This court finds that Mrs. Coleman engaged in systematic concealment of marital assets with the intent to defraud her spouse. Furthermore, her relationship with Mr. Walsh appears to have been motivated, at least in part, by financial gain rather than genuine affection. She looked directly at Linda. Mrs. Coleman, you've violated the fundamental trust that marriage requires. You've attempted to use this court to legitimize what amounts to theft from your husband of 43 years. The judgment was everything I'd hoped for and more. I got the house, all of it, since I could prove ED designed and substantially built the addition myself. I got 75% of all retirement accounts and savings. Linda had to pay my legal fees, which by then were approaching $45,000, but the real victory came later. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from Rachel. Ted, you're going to want to see the news tonight. Trevor Walsh had been arrested. Federal charges, wire fraud, money laundering, operating an unlicensed investment scheme. The FBI had been building a case against him for over a year, and our divorce proceedings had provided the final pieces they needed. Turns out had been running this scam across 3 states, targeting at least a dozen couples. The total amount had stolen was over $2,030 million. Linda had just been his latest mark, not his partner in crime like Id thought. She was as much a victim as anyone else, though. That didn't excuse what she'd done to our marriage. When the news broke, Linda lost her real estate license. The state licensing board suspended her for conduct unbecoming a professional after the details of our divorce case became public. Word travels fast in small communities, and nobody wants to do business with someone who'd steal from their own husband. I heard through Nicole that Linda had moved back east to live with her sister in Pennsylvania, lost the BMW in the divorce settlement, had to take the bus. The house she'd been so eager to claim was now mine, free and clear, along with the equity I'd built up over 30 years of mortgage payments and improvements. But the real satisfaction came from something else entirely. My kid's reaction to everything surprised me. Nicole came by the house one evening about a month after the divorce was final. She brought her husband Gary and the kids, my 2 grandkids who I hadn't seen much of during the final months of the marriage drama. Dad, she said as we sat on the back porch I'd built 15 years earlier, I owe you an apology. For what? I always thought you were just nice, too nice, maybe. I didn't realize how tough you actually are. Aaron, my son who lives up in Cleveland, put it differently when he called that weekend. Dad, you played chess while she was playing checkers. I'm proud of you. That meant more to me than any court victory. The house felt different after Linda moved out. Bigger, somehow quieter, but in a good way. I started doing projects I'd been putting off for years. Refinishing the hardwood floors, updating the kitchen cabinets, building new shelves in the garage, keeping busy, staying productive. About 6 months after everything was settled, I was at the hardware store picking up supplies for a deck project when I ran into Beth Morrison. She's an architect who'd worked with my construction company on several projects over the years. Smart woman, knows her stuff, never treated the trades guys like we were beneath her. Ted, she said, I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry you had to go through all that. Thanks, I said. But honestly, I'm doing better now than I have in years. We ended up having coffee, talking about construction techniques and design principles. Turned out she was recently divorced too. Her husband had left her for someone younger, but unlike Linda, she'd handled it with class and dignity. You know, she said as we finished our second cup, I'm working on designing a custom home for a client up in the hills. Could use someone with your engineering background to consult on the foundation work. Interested, that consulting job led to others. Word got around that Ted Coleman was available for specialty work, foundation design, structural analysis, problem solving on tricky renovation project. I wasn't ready for full retirement after all, and the extra income was nice. More importantly, working with Beth showed me what a real partnership looked like. She respected my expertise, I appreciated her design vision, we complemented each other professionally, and after a few months personally too. Beth doesn't play games or hide money or sneak around. When she says she'll be somewhere, she's there. When we disagree about something, we talk it through like adults. After 43 years with Linda, this kind of straightforward honesty feels like a gift these days. I'm doing fine. The house is paid off. My retirement accounts are secure, and I'm dating a woman who appreciates good craftsmanship in all its forms. My kids respect me more now than they ever did when I was just the nice guy who never made waves. Last month, I was working in the garage when a car slowed down on the street, a beat-up sedan I didn't recognize. Through the windshield, I could see Linda behind the wheel, looking at the house, looking at me. She didn't stop or get out, just drove slowly past. I straightened up, socket wrench in hand, and met her gaze through the car window. I didn't wave or smile, just stood there in my driveway, surrounded by the tools I knew how to use, working on projects that mattered to me, in the house I'd earned the right to keep. When I looked up again, she was gone. Good riddance. The lesson here isn't about revenge, though I admit there's satisfaction in seeing justice served. It's about knowing your worth and not letting anyone convince you to accept less than you deserve. After 43 years of marriage and 40 years of honest work, I'd earned every dollar of that retirement, every square foot of that house, every bit of respect that comes with a lifetime of building things that last. Linda wanted to throw all that away for some fantasy life with a con man. That was her choice, making sure she didn't get to steal my life's work to pay for it. That was mine. And you know what? I sleep just fine at night. Beth and I are talking about taking a trip to Colorado this fall. Maybe do some hiking, see the aspen trees change color. She's designing a retirement cabin for a client up there and wants to scout some locations. At 68, I'm discovering there's still plenty of life left to live. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well. And after everything Linda put me through, I plan to live very well indeed. After 40 years of solving engineering problems, I learned that the strongest structures are built on solid foundations, and that applies to life just as much as construction. When someone tries to tear down what you built, don't just rebuild it, make it stronger than before.